Hi, I'm Andrea. Thank you so much for joining me for this 30-minute yoga practice. If you do these practices with me often, you'll notice I'm not standing. I'm a little low to the ground. We will start low to the ground. And I am also low to the ground on a yoga mat, but if you have an area in your house that's carpeted, or maybe you have a rug a bit like this rug, somewhere that's not too slippery, that will be just fine. So you can get low to that ground. I also have 2 yoga blocks. A great substitute for that might be 2 thick books. I have a folded blanket at my beck and call right here as a throw blanket on my couch. You could use the same, or maybe you've got a beach towel or bath towel, just in case, even where we start, might enjoy a little bit of extra padding, so a folded blanket can be a great tool. I have a sleeping dog who seems to be spilling out of her bed, so that's great to have too. I think she's actually having a dream about chasing a squirrel right now. Let's start in child's pose, and let me give you a few different recipes for how that might look and feel. You'll have your knees as wide as feels good for you. Now, for some, sinking your hips towards your heels is going to be fine. For a lot of us, too much flexion, too much bend in our knees. So what you might do is take one of your books, reach your arms forward, let your hips lift off of your heels a little bit, and then find a place where you can fold in on yourself, but it doesn't feel like it's too much. Your elbows can come on the ground, your elbows can straighten up off the ground, totally up to you, wherever it is that you can hold yourself up a little bit. Make this a place where the arrows of attention turn inward instead of distractedly outward, and it becomes a place where we can find a little bit more awareness of our breath. So snuggle in, take a moment, I'll be quiet for a second, then I'm going to talk to you a little bit. Here in your child's pose, per your own design, feel the rise and fall of your breath. Just notice it. It's something that we do all the time automatically, but it is also a function of our body that when we bring awareness to it, we can shift it. We can let it bring more calm. It can help us become more present. 3 moments here. Bring yourself onto all fours. Maybe you've got your folded blanket underneath your knees. Let's now let our shins get parallel to the long edges of our mat. Spread our hands wide and line up our shoulders over our wrists. So now it's not hands forward like that child's pose. We're looking to find a vertical line from our shoulders to our wrists, and we'll push into the ground so this is not sagging, but instead there's a little buoyancy, and you might even feel core work happening, because it is. We will add to this core work by curling our toes under. Continue to engage through your arms. This is actually quite a bit, so you can come back to this or just stay with this. If you want a little bit more fire, lift your knees off your mat and imagine tractioning your hands and feet towards each other, and then gently place those knees back down. Goes a little something like that. You can stay here or oomph into your arms and lift your knees an inch. We don't hold our breath, we just hold the pose, and then we tap our knees back down onto the ground. We'll do that 3 more times. So oomph into your arms and into your curled under toes, and lift your knees or don't, and then bring those knees back down. Twice more, oomphing into our arms, lifting our knees off of our mat, hovering them just for a moment, and then placing them back down onto the ground. 1 more time, we hover our knees, or not. And then we'll bring our knees to our mat and come kneeling and just make circles with our wrists and reverse the circles of our wrists. Shake them out. Reach your arms forward, much like our child's pose. Stay on your knees with your toes curled under, and then imagine a hook in your tailbone. and push the ground away with your hands. This is actually down dog. It's just not fully formed yet, but it will be in a moment. So it's always important to keep pushing the ground away and to use that hook in your tailbone to lift your hips up and back. Now, I like to step my legs pretty wide apart, bend my knees a lot, and be on the balls of my feet. And then with that, and I push into my arms, there's incredible spaciousness, side body, back body, front body in my torso. And maybe you find the same. Walk your feet forward carefully to your hands, and then hip distance and parallel, slide your hands up your shins or your ankles, or even up to your thighs as you inhale. Keep the length in your spine, and exhale, slide those hands back down. Let's just do that one more time. Slide your hands up, maybe all the way up to your thighs. Inhale, lift your heart. Exhale, hinge at your hips and fold. It's not a round, it's a hip hinge fold. Now firm your belly and go slowly, arms up to the sky, a V shape. We've been low to the ground for a while, so I don't want you getting dizzy. Arms along your side, palms face out. Let's pause. Feel our exhales root us. Let ourselves be upright for a sec. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, a V. Then exhale, hinge at your hips and take your hands to your thighs or shins or ankles. Slide your hands up and inhale, and then this time bend your knees deeply enough that your hands get flat, and we start that push away of the ground and step back to down dog with the hook in our tailbone that we found earlier, probably a bend in our knees and on the balls of our feet. Shift it forward, shoulders over wrists. Hey, this is familiar, but we're in plank this time. You could always drop your knees down, find the hook, and shift back into down dog. Let's do that again. So shifting into plank, shoulders over wrists, maybe knees come down. And then hips lift us up and back, and we are in down dog. Walk your feet forward to your hands. They're hip distance and parallel. Slide your hands up. Inhale, lift your heart. And then exhale, slide your hands down. Then inhale, rise, reach thumbs to the sky, a V. We'll stand in our mountain with our palms facing out. Inhale, thumbs to the sky. Exhale, hinge at your hips and take your hands to your thighs or shins or ankles. Glide your hands up, lift your heart, bend your knees deeply and palms go flat. Push into the ground as you step back to down dog, find the hook in your tailbone, then come to plank, shoulders over wrists, and all of us will bring our knees down. A little further back in space than when we were hovering those knees, but the same pushing of the ground away. Keep pushing the ground away and lower all the way onto your belly as slowly as you can. Elbows brush your ribs. Then forearms parallel to the long edges of your mat. Uncurl your toes. First, press into the tops of your feet until your kneecaps lift. Your legs stay activated as you traction your elbows towards you. Your heart goes through the gateway of your arms, and chin stays parallel to the ground, even though it's tempting to try to do most of that back bending with our neck that's already in a back bend. Instead, imprint your shoulder blades into your spine. Remember this feeling. Lower down a bit, slide your hands next to your ribs, elbows stay in as opposed to winging out, and then we'll just activate our legs again, traction our hands instead of our forearms. Be careful not to use your chin for this. It probably doesn't go up that high. No worries. Cobra. Lower down, curl your toes under and keep your hands right where they are. Think of that trunk stability, that core work when we hovered our knees. Come to all fours. Then find the hook in your tailbone. Let that take you up and back into down dog. You might want to keep that bend in your knees. Hips are high. Walk your feet forward to your hands. Land with your feet hip distance and parallel. Slide your hands up. Inhale. Fold and exhale. Slide your hands down. And then we inhale. Rise. Reach thumbs to the sky. And we stand in our mountain. Palms facing out. Let's flow. Inhale. Arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, a V. Then we exhale and place our hands on our thighs or shins or ankles. Slide your hands up and inhale. Bend your knees deeply, palms go flat. We step back to down dog with our hips high. Shift it to plank, shoulders over wrists, and we bring our knees down like a kickstand. Keep pushing the ground away as you come all the way to your belly, slow as you go. You can keep your hands here or position them for a sphinx, press into the tops of your feet, and then let your heart move through the gateway of your arms. Lower back down enough that we can curl our toes back under, and in one piece, come to all fours. We find the hook in our tailbone and head back to down dog. And then walk forward, feet to your hands, let them land hip distance. Slide your hands up, inhale. Slide your hands back down, exhale. And then inhale, rise, reach, thumbs to the sky, and we stand in our mountain. Palms facing. A little bit of a trick in this one, but you'll see when. Inhale, V-shape. Exhale, hinge at your hips and hands to your thighs or shins or ankles. Glide your hands up, inhale, bend your knees, palms head flat to the ground, and we step to down dog. Let your hips be high. Shift it to plank, shoulders over wrists, knees down as slow as you can onto your belly, and this time Sphinx pose for all of us once again. So forearms parallel to the ground. Engage your legs by pressing into the tops of your feet and have a moment of dragging your elbows towards you. You can return to this anytime you want to, or maybe need to, once you find out the trick that I'm up to here with you. So lower down and slide your elbows back a little closer to your body. Then curl your toes under, and instead of doing Sphinx, push into the ground and round up like we did when we were hovering our knees. And now instead of hovering our knees, we'll take our chest, our belly, and our hips off of our mat. But keep pushing. It feels a little bit like the hover, but our knees are down and we're in a forearm plank. It could be that you actually take your knees off your mat in a forearm plank for a moment, and then bring your knees back down, bring your thighs back down. Let the whole thing dissolve into Sphinx pose for all of us. Press into the tops of your feet. Traction those elbows towards you. Once again, curl your toes under, oomph into your arms. Fill out that area in between your shoulder blades. Our chest, our belly, our hips, and our thighs come off the ground, but our knees may stay on the ground, or you lift your knees off your mat. Good heavens, 3 moments. And then knees down, thighs down, hips down, belly down. And we will roll over onto our back. Now once you have rolled over onto your back, and I'm actually going to swing my legs around so I'm able to look at you. Once we're lying on our back, I'd like you to lift your hips up just a tiny bit so you can sit on your hands. This tends to be a very kind position for our low back, so you might consider it. Shimmy your shoulder blades underneath you because they're going to try to wing out to the side, and lift your shoulders towards the sky. Be as flat on the shoulder blade area of your back as you can be. Our knees are bent right now and our feet are on the ground. Take your right leg up to the sky, and if it doesn't straighten entirely, that is completely fine. Either stay here or lift your left foot off your mat. That's going to give you a little hug in your core, much like our hovering knees did. Maybe you start to straighten that left leg out a little bit. There might be those among us who straighten it entirely, but I'm not interested in you hurting your lower back. So if you get that ping in your low back, it means bend your left knee, maybe bend both knees and put your knees on the ground, or your feet on the ground. We'll do that together right now. So bend your left knee, put your left foot on the ground, put your right foot on the ground. You might take a little moment to kind of shake it out. That's all good. Keep your right foot on the ground and begin to straighten your left leg up to the sky. See if you've got that slump happening in your shoulders. Just shimmy the shoulders underneath you. This is plenty. Maybe lift your right foot and hover it above the ground. Maybe start to venture that right leg a little bit straighter, possibly all the way straight. But again, I'm really wanting you to be super sensitive to your low back. Then we bend our right knee and stay up our right foot. We bend our left knee and stay up our left foot. And we probably have a little moment of release. One more time on each side. You are welcome to lift your hips, adjust your hands, adjust your shoulder blades underneath you. And then when you're ready, right leg to the sky. Feel free to stay here. The back of your head stays down. You might lift your left foot. You might start to straighten that left leg a little bit, and we hold for 3, but we're breathing. Holding poses, not holding our breath. 2 more. Bend your left knee, stamp your left foot, bend your right knee, stamp your right foot. Give yourself what you need between the sides. Left leg straightens as best it can. Right foot can stay put, or you lift your right foot. Option only if it feels right in your body to move that right leg a little bit straighter. I say it a lot because it's true. You're the expert of your own body. I am merely a guide here. Let's bend our right knee and stamp that right foot. Bend your left knee, stamp your left foot, and then come off of your hands, place your palms flat, shimmy those shoulder blades underneath you again, and as if your tailbone now was trying to go to the back of your knees, so this is not us trying to slam our hips up to the sky, a little bridge, just an easy lift of our hips. And then we lower it back down. And we'll do that 2 more times. Our hips lift up, not particularly high, but long if we can. And then lower your hips back down. And one more time, lift your hips up. Lower your hips back down. Roll onto your belly. I'm swinging my legs around once again just so that I am facing you. Take a sphinx for a moment. Then lower your hips or your chest onto your mat and reposition your hands next to your ribs. Curl your toes under. In one chunk, we come to all fours. And once we're on all fours, let's organize it so that we've got our shoulders over our wrists, like a conversation that we had a bit earlier. And I have a feeling some of us are going to want that folded blanket underneath our knees. It's a great way to go. Once you're here, lift your right leg back behind you and off the ground. Oomph into your arms so we're not collapsed. Hey, we're using our core work. Keep your right hand flat, reach your left arm forward, thumb to the sky. Oomph into that right arm. When you exhale, bring together your left elbow and your right knee, and then keep pushing into your right arm as you reach the 2 away, and we do that 2 more times. So exhale the 2 together, then inhale, reach the 2 apart. Exhale, bring the 2 together. Inhale, reach them apart and return your left hand and right knee, and then come kneeling, and let's do our little twirls. Back to all fours we go. I know it's a lot of stuff on our arms, hopefully not too much on our wrists. I put us on our forearms on purpose. Then we will stack shoulders over wrists and extend our left leg behind us. All toes are facing the ground. Once we feel solid in this left arm, right arm reaches forward, thumb to the sky. We'll coordinate an exhale, and then right elbow tries to find left knee, and we inhale and reach the 2 apart, but we keep pushing into our left arm. We exhale those 2 together, and we inhale and reach those 2 apart, and then one more time, exhaling those 2 together, and inhaling and reaching them apart. Bring your right hand down, your left knee down. Come kneeling and give yourself what you need to let that let go as well. Now, we're making our way to down dog, and I'm going to throw another little trick question at you, like a little shenanigan. Let's just have fun with it. It's silly good fun. That's our story, and we're sticking to it. So do the best you can. We'll reach our arms a little bit forward, sort of like we did when we were in our child's pose at the beginning, and then we push the ground away. We find the hook in our tailbone and make our way into down dog. Once we're in down dog, lift your right leg behind you, like we just did on all fours. And that's enough balance, but you might try briefly to come onto your left fingertips and even float that left hand off the ground briefly. Like I said, silly good fun, just do the best that you can with it, and then bring all 4 on the floor and your knees to your mat and come upright, and let's just do a little twirl. Doesn't matter if your hand came off the ground or if any of that really happened the way that you thought it might. On to all fours we go. Then we'll reach our arms a little bit further forward so we can oomph into our arms and build out our down dog. Hips lift us up and back. And then our left leg does the lifting, and we may or may not choose to come onto our right fingertips and then just see if we can maybe lift that hand a little bit. It's balance, it's trunk stability, it's proprioception, which means like where am I in space, and then bring right hand down and left foot down, knees down, and give things a little bit of a waggle. From kneeling, and again, maybe with padding underneath your knees, place your hands on your hips. This is a sort of interesting thing to attempt because we don't do things from our knees that much, and this is going to be trunk stability and balance at play, and play is the key word there. Right foot steps forward, hands free, if we can. Kind of interesting, right? Thumbs to the sky, a V, hands in a prayer, turn to your right, left elbow hooks outside of our right thigh. Then we think of Sphinx pose as we inhale and grow tall, and then we exhale and gently navigate into a twist here. Let's soak and twist and breathe. 30 seconds just like this. Now unwind, arms to the sky, just give it a shot. Right knee next to left knee, bloop. And then we'll step left foot forward and bring our hands in a prayer. And turn right elbow outside of left thigh, and we soak here a few moments. We're thinking of conjuring a little bit of Sphinx pose in our upper back. Actually using our side waist muscles, our oblique muscles while we're here as well. So in terms of a little bit of a core-oriented practice today, we're not neglecting those obliques either. Last few moments here. We unwind. You can take your arms up. Maybe it's easier on your hips, but we swoop left knee next to right. And then we'll lie down on our back. So you can just swing your legs around any way that you'd like to. And once you're lying on your back, it may feel a little bit like, oh my goodness, not abdominals again. But don't worry, it's not. You can use a strap, a kitchen towel, as we now straighten our right leg up to the sky with our left foot on the ground. And we hold on to likely the hamstring. Maybe a strap is going to be better because I want you to try to find shoulder blades underneath you once again, like we did do with our abdominals, but this is not going to be an abdominal moment. You might find plenty of stretch just like this, and I agree. You might straighten your left leg out onto the ground. And it could be that you take your left hand on top of your left thigh, again, just knowing where we are in space, and you think about that leg straightening out and right leg straightening out. And there'll be a sweet spot where you get plenty of feedback, but not so much that you feel like you need to flee. And then I'm going to give you a full minute of silence in this stretch. More seconds where you are. If you happen to be somebody who's straightened that left leg, bend your left knee and stamp that left foot on the ground, and now bend your right knee and cross right ankle on top of left thigh. This could be the stretch. Maybe right hand reaches through the space and you either hold your left hamstring or you hold on top of your left shin. We're trying to keep those shoulder blades tucked underneath us, so sometimes a block underneath your head or a folded towel underneath your head is a really great assist. Let's get quiet and stretch here. Move slowly, release both feet on your mat, and then left leg will straighten to the sky, right foot stays put for now. You might hold the hamstring, you can use that kitchen towel, maybe you have a strap of some sort, and we're noticing a stretch here and deciding whether or not right leg sliding straight makes any sense in this occasion for you. Maybe right hand on top of right thigh if you've decided that, yeah, you do want that bottom leg straight, and then we soak in this stretch for a few moments. If you are someone who did opt to straighten the right leg, just rebend that right leg, cross your left ankle on top of your right thigh. It could be a thread the needle. It might be that you don't even need to do that. Remember, something underneath your head can be helpful sometimes. Let's stretch here. And then gently release this, both feet on your mat. Shimmy your shoulder blades underneath you and either walk your feet wide and let your knees knock knee together, or straighten one leg and then the other leg. And it is our rest and digest, our Shavasana final meditation. I welcome you to stay here in your Shavasana final meditation as long as you'd like. If you're ready, you might stretch like we're waking up, refreshed and renewed. Bend your knees, collect your knees into your chest. Roll with no rush to either side. Let your head be the last thing to come up. And find a comfortable way to sit. Maybe that's perched on one of your blocks or your folded blanket. Place your hands on top of your heart and let's pause in gratitude. Grateful that we're healthy enough to do this practice together, and then we have this opportunity. I'm Andrea. Thank you so much. I look forward to us doing this again together soon.